So I often get asked how I sort of came to the style of playing and the tapping and the percussive techniques. And I was actually on the University of Oregon campus, and I saw somebody playing a Michael Hedges cover, and I just kind of watched for a while. And I had been playing guitar, mostly electric guitar, but some acoustic. I mean, I kind of already knew Will Ackerman because my father had some of his records, and I loved that. I loved still love his music. But I'd never really seen anybody doing the tapping thing. I didn't follow Van Halen when I was a kid, so I did. It was kind of new to me, and I watched this guy kind of working his way through a Michael Hedges cover, and I saw what he was doing, and I thought, I want to try that, and so I sort of snuck away and went into a corner and started banging on my guitar and just seeing what I could get away with, and just had a lot of fun with it. I mean, for me, the technique is always secondary to the music, of course, and so it was never about this sort of athletic, going for an athletic sort of approach to guitar, but it was just more of this excitement and this new ability to create these sounds. And so for me, it was just a process of getting comfortable, using my right hand and literally building up the muscles in my arms to be able to do it. My first instrument was actually drums. I played drum set, and so for me, doing some of that percussive stuff on the body of the guitar was kind of it was more natural to do that, to beat on something. So I have one of the tunes that's on my first record, Le Bleu. It's called Knock on Wood, and it's got a lot of that kind of. It was my first attempt at that kind of combination of percussion and tapping. So you have this going on in the left hand, and then on the right hand it starts off. So you can really kind of there's a lot of people now who play this kind of percussive technique that have taken it to these crazy places, and it's great. But that's what's fun about it, is that you can really kind of be a little bit of a one-man band, and it's challenging to learn how to play this way, and I think that's part of the fun of it. I think it's harder to get a real resonant sound out of some of these higher notes, and you do get some odd sort of harmonics happening on the backside. So it can be a little more challenging to play higher up like that. You can do it. I mean that. So I mean, you can get up there, but it's tough, and I think it kind of. It's a little prettier and a little more pure when you kind of these notes kind of down farther on the neck in that register kind of react a little bit more, react a little easier to tapping. I kind of go back and forth between 12 and 13 gauge strings. I'm feeling a little bit wimpy right now, so I'm on 12s. But actually 13s tended to work a little bit better for the tapping thing. I think they put a little bit more pressure on the top of the guitar, and they react a little bit more. They're harder to play, obviously, but you can get a little bit more out of the guitar sonically. I think when you have that, you get more resonance out of the guitar with thicker strings, with tapping. So I go back and forth between 12 and 13 gauge strings, and all of my guitars are kind of set up with relatively low action, but if the action's too low, you're actually not going to be able to get a real pure tone out of the string. It's gonna sound a little bit thin. So you can't really go too low. It's not about really low action. It's about how forceful your hammer-on is. That's what's going to get the tone out of it. I think that the tapping requires a lot of rhythmic coordination between the right and left hands. So you have to think about your right and left hand as sort of being, two parts of the same thing, two parts of the same rhythm, depending on how you play stylistically. But for me, that's kind of how it works. So if if I have, let me see, what's a good example of this? Hopefully you guys can edit that there. I'm just trying to think of a good like example of that in my music. Okay, so there's a song called Locomotive where you can really see the sort of interaction rhythmically between the right and left hand. You're using a lot of open strings and a lot of hammer-ons. So this tune is called Locomotive, and it's sort of, it's based on that kind of a rhythm. As if you're drumming on a table. It's like almost like tabla technique, in a way. But yeah, I think when you're first starting out, think about it. If you're interested in this tapping style, think about how you can make complex rhythms out of doing something simple with your left hand and something simple with your right hand. It doesn't have to be too crazy. You can really get interesting textures and interesting rhythms happening.